The Trinity Lane had been a free route for centuries. Then the Hesh Syndicate hung a toll gate in the void and started charging rent on the stars themselves. Every grain squadron that reached the gate got the same chilled greeting. Stop, pay, or be impounded.
Attention, human vessels. Triple transit tax is now in effect. Failure to comply will result in impoundment and cargo seizure.
Triple. That takes 1/4 of our grain. We can't feed 3 colonies on what's left.
The tax is the tax. Pay and pass. Or watch your ships get towed to a syndicate impound dock. Your choice.
Every time we pay, we starve a little more. But if we don't, this grain rots and the colonies starve completely.
The tollmaster didn't need to threaten. The armed cutters hovering off the convoy's flanks said enough.
Transferring now. Let us through.
The demand on the hollow display turned from amber to green. Payment accepted. The toll gate's greedy fingers opened. The convoy drifted through the gate ring. The tax cutters peeling away like vultures that had already fed. One more lame tax paid. One more year of hunger deferred. 2 days later, a smaller grain convoy limped toward the gate. Older ships, empty coffers, no margin for triple tax.
You can't pay? Then your cargo is forfeit. Tax cutters, latch on and haul them to impound.
Tractor beams locked. The convoy vanished into the syndicate's holding docks, the grain manifest flashing red. That grain never reached Gavi 1/3. Children went to bed hungry. Ration lines coiled through the colony domes. In a dark command center on Proxima, Admiral Robert Vance stared at the casualty projections. Starvation, not war.
3 colonies, 11 million people, and we pay ransom for every sack of grain. This ends.
His staff had no answer. Diplomatic protests were ignored. Military retaliation would start a war they couldn't win.
What about the Anvil? She's ready, isn't she?
The Anvil. A dreadnought too large to be turned away, too tough to be ignored. Within the hour, the Anvil's engines lit for the first time in a decade. The game was about to change, though no one outside that room knew how. The Anvil cleared the space dock with a rumble that shook the superstructure of every ship in port. She turned her blunt nose toward the lane and began to accelerate. On her bridge, Admiral Robert Vance addressed the crew. Calm, unhurried, as if they were on a routine patrol.
We're going to do something the Syndicate won't expect. Something that changes the arithmetic. No one fires a shot unless I order it. Stay sharp. Keep the recorders running. And trust the plan.
The Anvil's jump drive engaged, and the ship slipped into the hyperspace corridor. Its destination, the Trinity Lane. At the Trinity Lane tollgate, Tollmaster Taryn Kesh reviewed the quarterly revenue. Record numbers. But record numbers only meant there was more to take.
The next convoy that comes through pays quadruple tax. If they complain, impound every 3rd ship. That'll teach them to budget better.
Far beyond the gate, a point of light grew brighter. The Anvil had arrived, and she was closing fast. The Dreadnought moved without urgency, a mountain of metal on a long, patient course. The tollgate had no idea what it was about to collide with. The tollgate's long-range scanner pinged. A contact. Massive. Its energy signature blotted out the board.
What in the void is that? A dreadnought. Humans don't have dreadnoughts.
The Anvil slid into visual range, its slab-sided hull eclipsing the distant nebula. Next to it, the tollgate looked like a child's toy.
Hesh Syndicate to unidentified warship. You are entering a regulated toll lane. Transit tax is in effect for a vessel of your tonnage. That's triple the standard rate.
The Anvil didn't alter course. Its running lights remained a steady amber, and its thrusters a calm orange glow.
Acknowledged, Tollmaster. We're a human escort vessel on a grain protection detail. We're prepared to comply with your toll.
Comply? Very well. Transfer the full amount to the Syndicate's escrow account. You have 10 minutes.
The demand flashed onto the Anvil's bridge. Triple transit tax. A sum so large, it would bankrupt a colony, let alone a ship.
They have no idea what they just agreed to. Good.
The channel went quiet. The toll gate waited, and the trap, invisible and silent, began to close on the Anvil's bridge. The escrow link went live. A single button tap would drain a fortune from humanity's coffers.
Execute the transfer. Full amount.
The confirmation blinked green. Payment accepted. The syndicate's ledger added another zero, and Tollmaster Kesh allowed himself a thin smile.
Accepted. Your fast compliance is appreciated. You've saved us both a lot of trouble.
Before we proceed through the gate, I'll need a receipt for our records.
A receipt? For a toll payment? No one asks for receipts.
We're an escort vessel on a commercial grain mission. Standard accounting requires documentation. I am sure the syndicate understands proper bookkeeping.
Very well. The system can issue a digital receipt. Wait one, but next time don't expect such. Courtesy.
The request hung in the data stream, a simple bureaucratic nicety. The syndicate's system began to process it, unaware of the trap woven into every byte. In the command center, Taryn shrugged. A receipt. What harm could a receipt possibly do? The Tollgate system issued the receipt automatically, a crisp digital document, layered with syndicate encryption and the tollmaster's seal. It streamed across the void, a thread of light that carried a single, irrevocable fact on the anvil. The hologram resolved, transit toll payment, commercial lane usage, paid in full.
Receipt received. We'll be on our way now. He thinks he won, but this piece of paper cost him everything.
Log it. Highest toll ever collected at this gate. If there are more like that, we'll need a bigger ledger.
The anvil's drives flared. The Dreadnought began its slow drift through the gate ring.
Open the gate, let them through. I am pouring drinks. This is a day to remember.
The anvil passed through the gate, its shadow falling over the tollgate before it moved on, and on the bridge, the receipt stayed on the console, quiet, unassuming, the sharpest weapon in known space. Robert studied the receipt one final time. The words commercial lane usage were there, printed in the syndicate's own encryption.
Open a priority channel to the Interstellar Trade Tribunal. Use my authority. Emergency override.
The anvil's communication array pivoted, locked onto the distant tribunal hub, and fired a stream of pure legal force. The message was compact, a formal complaint. The receipt attached, citing Section 42 of the Interstellar Trade Accord.
They charged us for commercial passage. That makes the lane a trade route. And trade routes can't be armed by privateers.
The tribunal's automated system received the burst. The receipt's metadata confirmed the syndicate's identity and the transaction within seconds. The compliance engine cross-referenced the syndicate's weapons licenses with the lane's new commercial designation. The result was instantaneous. On the Anvil's bridge, a single chime announced the receipt of the tribunal's automated response.
Complaint acknowledged. The black letter law is now in motion. There's no calling it back.
The complaint had been filed. The receipt had been submitted, and in the tribunal's silent data vaults, the syndicate's undoing began. At the toll gate, Tollmaster Kesh raised a glass with his senior officers. The day's haul was the largest in syndicate history.
To profit, and to the humans who keep paying. May they never learn to fight back.
But far away, in a tribunal data core, a quiet algorithm was already dissecting his signature. The receipt's transaction ID was matched to the tollgate's weapon license registry. The lane's status was queried, cross-reference complete. The system found what it was designed to find: private armed enforcement on a designated commercial route. An automated flag was set. Violation code 42C. The notification was queued for immediate broadcast. The review took 11 seconds. The tribunal's black letter protocols left no room for appeal.
Another round. Let's raise the tax again next month. These grain worlds are ours.
He raised his glass as the violation notice began its faster-than-light journey back to the Trinity Lane. The party had 6 hours left. The violation notice arrived. A burst of pure legal authority that overrode every syndicate system. Weapons licenses revoked, effective immediately. Across the entire sector, every syndicate firearm locked itself.
What? This isn't possible. There's no complaint on file.
But there was. The receipt was the complaint. filed hours ago by a ship that never fired a shot. On every tax cutter, weapons readouts flatlined. The turret controls turned to dead steel. The Tollgate's own defensive grid went dark, its massive cannons falling silent one by one. In the command center, Terran stared at the order. His hands were shaking.
Reverse it. Appeal. There has to be a loophole.
But there was no loophole. The black-letter law was absolute. The Syndicate fleet was disarmed, drifting, with no more power than a child's toy. The full revocation notice identified the cause. A commercial toll receipt filed by the human Dreadnought Anvil.
A receipt. I signed a receipt. Oh, you clever, clever bastards.
He opened an emergency channel to the Syndicate's financial backers. The line rang into silence. Then a single message, text only. Hesh Syndicate is no longer a protected investment. All support withdrawn.
You can't do this. We paid you.
But the channel was already dead, and the Tollgate's external links began shutting down one by one.
I stood on a pile of gold and handed them the key to the treasury.
The weapons were dead. The allies were gone. The Tollgate was a tomb. Foreclosure ships were already en route, though Kesh didn't know it yet. The receipt had done its work, and the Anvil, never firing a shot, had erased the Tollgate fleet from existence. The first creditor ship dropped out of jump like a court order made metal, its hull plastered with seizure warrants. Automated salvage drones detached from its bay, swarming toward the nearest tax cutter like iron locusts. The tax cutter's emergency lights flickered and died as its power grid was remotely commandeered. Across the Tollgate, the same scene repeated. Every asset with a Syndicate tag was reclaimed. On the Tollgate ring, the lights dimmed section by section as creditor algorithms took over life support. The Syndicate's empire was being unmade, not by blaster fire, but by legal processes faster than a human could plead. In the command center, Terran watched his console become a monitor for someone else's repossession. The creditor ships didn't negotiate. They just took, one by one. The tax cutters were towed out of formation, their weapon mounts dark and their crews in shock. The Tollgate was now a hollow shell, its silence a monument to a receipt it once laughed at. The Anvil's primary comm array came online, transmitting to every ship within 20 light seconds.
This is Admiral Robert Vance. By tribunal order, your weapons are dead. Stand down now for safe passage.
Panic swept the Syndicate ranks. Escape pods jettisoned in chaotic bursts from every tax cutter. On the Tollgate bridge, Terran's officers surrounded him, their fear hardened into mutiny.
I'll see you all dismantled for this.
A fist connected with his jaw. He dropped, and cuffs clicked around his wrists.
Not a battle lost, not a fleet, a receipt.
They hauled him through dim red corridors, past empty weapon emplacements, to the main airlock.
Surrender accepted. Prepare the brig. We'll take custody of the tollmaster.
The Tollgate stood silent. Not a shot fired. Not a life lost. The law had done its work. Human patrol ships dropped into the lane, their hulls bright with Terran insignia. The anchorage was secure. Captain Vera's grain convoy approached the Tollgate ring, its weapon ports now empty sockets.
No demand, no countdown, just silence. Feels like a dream.
She opened a channel to the Anvil, her gratitude raw.
Admiral Vance, this is Captain Lin. We're passing through. I don't have words.
The reply from the Anvil was brief. Deliver that grain, Captain. The convoy drifted through the gate. The Dreadnought's shadow, its only escort. The Tollgate, stripped of teeth, now served as a neutral relay, its lights steady blue, but the Syndicate's legal charter remained for now. The final dissolution was still in the tribunal's queue. The receipt had opened the door, but the last door had yet to slam shut. The Syndicate's parent entity filed a desperate appeal, buried in legal jargon. The tribunal's automated system queued it. Seconds later, the response was terse. Appeal denied. Revocation stands. A hidden gunnery platform powered up in a far orbital. Its license check failed before the target lock engaged. In a tax cutter cockpit, a loyalist crewman hammered the firing console, screaming at wires that no longer obeyed. The bypass was hard-coded against manual override. The turrets remained inert. Human Marines stormed the compartment. The crewman was yanked from his seat, wrists bound. Every violent option was a dead end. The law had thought of everyone. The tribunal's verdict was resolute and absolute. Armed resistance was legally impossible. The parent corporation purged the syndicate's records, disavowing all ties. The legal challenge collapsed. The syndicate was stripped of its last weapon, the hope of reversal. Admiral Vance opened an all-ships channel, his voice reaching every vessel, every colony relay.
You've asked how a single receipt erased an armed fleet. I'll show you.
The receipt materialized on every screen, the words stark and undeniable.
This document acknowledged the lane as a commercial trade route, and trade law forbids armed toll collection by private entities. They signed away their own power. We gave them the rope.
Robert watched the realization spread across his crew's faces.
No shots, no blood, just law. Our greatest weapon is the one we never have to fire.
In mess halls, on colony relays, humans heard and understood. The receipt, once a joke, became a symbol of what humanity could achieve. The legal dissolution was pending, but victory was sealed in digital ink. The Anvil's bridge was quiet. Robert sat back, the weight of years lifting.
We out-paperworked them. That's the kind of war humanity should fight.
The Interstellar Trade Tribunal issued its final decree. The Hesh Syndicate was no longer a legal entity. By order of this tribunal, the Hesh Syndicate is dissolved, effective immediately. All remaining assets, Tollgate, ships, credits, were seized and transferred to the Terran Authority. The Tollgate station was scheduled for dismantling within the month, its parts to be repurposed. The backers who financed the syndicate were fined under racketeering laws, their accounts frozen. Terran Kesh and his command staff were formally indicted for extortion and illegal armed enforcement. They were led in restraints to a human prison transport, their empire a silent wreck behind them. The syndicate's name was struck from every commercial registry in the sector. Legal erasure. It was as if the Hesh Syndicate had never existed, a ghost dissolved by a slip of paper. The dismantling contracts were signed. The physical work awaited, but the legal war was over. For the first time in years, grain convoys moved through Trinity Lane without a single tax demand. Captain Vera's ship, the Proxima Grain, unloaded its full cargo at Gavia 3. Every crate intact, every credit saved.
No toll, no threats, just grain for hungry kids. This is why I fly.
In Dome 7, children ate a full meal for the first time in months. The ration lines vanished overnight. The Anvil patrolled the lane, a silent guardian. Its crew called the receipt the paper torpedo. News broadcasts showed the Tollgate ring being dismantled by salvage drones. A gangster's crown turned to scrap. New shipping contracts were signed. Grain futures stabilized. The colonies began to heal. The lane was just a lane again. No waiting, no fear. Every week, another convoy passed without incident.
We won with a piece of paper. No blood, no war. That's the kind of victory I can believe in.
But for Admiral Vance, the true reckoning was still to come. The weapon that won the war had yet to find its final resting place. The salvage fleet arrived on schedule, its ships larger than any tax cutter ever was. Robotic arms gripped the ring structure, cutting beams igniting. The first weapon mount fell away. One by one, the turrets were hauled into melting barges, their barrels bent and crushed. The ring's power core was decommissioned. Its amber lights blinked out, this time for good. 2 weeks later, the gate was a skeleton of girders, then scattered debris. The lane was empty now. No station, no guns, no waiting. Just stars. A memorial buoy was anchored at the site. Its message simple. Here stood the Hesh Syndicate Tollgate, dismantled by law. The last piece of the ring was recycled. The Syndicate's physical legacy was gone. Humanity had erased the Tollgate without firing a shot, turning an empire of extortion into space dust. The Trinity Lane was what it always should have been, a road, nothing more. The original receipt was placed in the Galactic Museum of Law, sealed in a vacuum case. The plaque inscribed below read, "The paper that won the lane, receipt number A8372-1. Admiral Vance received the Terran Star of Merit in a quiet ceremony on Proxima." The tribunal seal hung behind the podium, a silent witness to legal victory. Robert stepped to the microphone. The room full of jurists and captains.
We didn't outshoot them, we out-paperworked them. This receipt is a weapon of law. It belongs to every trader who ever paid an illegal toll.
The applause was long, the kind reserved for a victory no one saw coming. The receipt now rests in the museum, a reminder that the sharpest tool is sometimes a piece of paper. Robert returned to the anvil, the receipt's echo following him into the stars. Months later, a new grain ship dropped out of jump at the Trinity Lane choke point. No station, no guns, just stars. The young captain checked her charts. The old hazard marker, Tollgate, was grayed out, decommissioned. She looked out the viewport, half expecting the cold voice of a tollmaster. Instead, silence. Her co-pilot, an old hand, stared at the empty space where the gate once floated. He couldn't believe it. The convoy passed through the choke point in 30 seconds. No delay, no tax, just navigation. Far off, the memorial buoy drifted, a lone sentinel. The young captain read its inscription in passing. She thought of the receipt, now in a museum. A piece of paper that had torn down an empire. Behind them, more convoys were lining up for the crossing. The lane was alive with commerce again. Months of steady grain deliveries had done their work. In Dome 7, no one went hungry anymore. The lane was just a lane. And that was the greatest victory of all. Admiral Vance stood at the anvil's viewport, hands clasped, the quiet lane stretching before him.
We paid in credits, they paid in lives. Not anymore.
The toll gate was gone, dismantled piece by piece, its metal recycled into civilian ships.
A single receipt. No blood, no war. That's the kind of victory I can believe in.
The syndicate's backers faced huge fines, their accounts frozen, their power a bitter memory. The law had been merciless, faster than any battle fleet. He turned from the viewport, the tension in his shoulders finally releasing after years.
I never fired a shot. That's the best victory I've ever won.
He sat in his command chair, the old leather creaking, the weight of years lifting. The anvil sailed into the nebula, a quiet guardian on a lane now truly free. The Trinity Lane became what it was always meant to be, a highway of grain, flowing without fear, toll, or guns. Every crate delivered meant a child fed, a colony sustained, and a future secured. In the domes, laughter finally replaced the silence of hunger, and ration lines became a memory buried with the syndicate's name. And in the Galactic Museum of Law, a simple receipt sat under glass, proof that the pen was mightier than the cannon. School children now learned the story, how a piece of paper dismantled a criminal empire that had strangled the stars. The memorial buoy drifted near the lane, a quiet marker of the day the law prevailed over violence. Convoys now pass without pause, their captains barely glancing at the spot where guns once threatened. Humanity had not outshot the syndicate. It had outthought them, outweighted them, and outpaperworked them. And in the stars, the anvil sailed on, a guardian of a peace won by ink, not blood. The story of the receipt will echo in every law book, every courtroom, every free lane across the galaxy.